In the last section, we had a long discussion about controlled versus uncontrolled elements. We're now going to start to move forward and continue developing our application. So at this point, our search bar now knows exactly what a user is typing into that input. So now we want to make sure that if the user presses on the Enter key after entering some search term, we want to somehow trigger a search for some images and then show those images on the screen. Now, step one of implementing all that is somehow detecting when the user presses the Enter key. So in other words, if I go back here and type in cars and press Enter on my keyboard, I want to somehow trigger a search. Now you'll notice that right now, if you type in something and press Enter, it looks like the entire page refreshes and our search term disappears. So at present, you are seeing the default behavior of a form element. Remember, we'd put a form into our search bar right here. Default HTML vanilla forms, like no React whatsoever, if you ever have an input element selected and you press the Enter key, the form, or to be more precise here, the browser is going to attempt to submit the form automatically to some backend server. Now in this case, we have no backend server, so no information is taken from the form or sent anywhere whatsoever. The first thing that we're going to want to do is to disable that default behavior. We do not want the entire page to refresh automatically anytime the user presses Enter. Instead, we want to run some custom logic of our own. So to handle this, we're going to find our form tag right here, and I'm going to add an event handler to it under the prop name onSubmit. And then I'll reference a callback method inside of here called this.onFormSubmit. Now remember, after a method that we pass to an event handler, we do not put parentheses on, so no parentheses here. After that, I'll put on my event handler up here. This is going to be called with an event object, and I do not want the form to attempt to submit itself and thus refresh the page. I will prevent that behavior by calling event.preventDefault, like so. So this line of code right here is what's going to keep the form or the browser from trying to submit the form automatically and in the process refresh the page. So if we now flip back over and I enter some text and press Enter, no longer is the page refreshing. Now this is something that you're going to have to write out many, many times on your own personal projects. In just about every case that you use a form, you never want the form to automatically submit itself. And to prevent that, we call event.preventDefault. Okay, so we've now got some callback here that is going to be invoked whenever the user types something in and presses Enter. As a quick exercise, let's just make sure that we can console log out the current value of the input when the user presses Enter and tries to submit the form. To do so, I can do a console log this.state.term, like so. So now I can flip back over. I'm going to make sure I open my console. And now I'll enter in some text and hit Enter. And when I do, you'll notice we get a nasty error message right here. All right, so this is going to lead us into kind of an interesting JavaScript topic. Let's take a quick pause right here. When we come back to the next section, we're going to learn why we are seeing this error message. I can tell you that the code we wrote here is mostly correct. There's just one little problem that we have inside of here that will be a quick and easy fix, but understanding the fix can be just a little bit challenging sometimes. So quick pause, come back to the next section and discuss what is going on.